Hi everyone, Andy here at Spymaster Gaming. Welcome back to the channel and a very warm welcome if it's your first time joining us. In today's video, I'm going to be joined by Ollie and Keelan from Warboss Miniatures, and we're going to be discussing their new game, Reliquary, which is coming to Kickstarter on March the 1st. Reliquary is a fantasy tabletop game which can be played at a skirmish level all the way through to a mass battle level with a unique narrative element to it. So, before we go any further, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Still new to YouTube and trying to grow the channel, so anything you can do to help would be greatly appreciated. Now, if you want to carry on watching, we have the interview, which has some really good bits of information about the game and why you should probably consider backing it on Kickstarter. So enjoy. Okay, so Ollie, Keelan, thanks very much for joining me tonight.
Having us.
Not a problem. Here to talk about your new game, Reliquary, or I don't know how quite to pronounce it because I've never found myself having to say the word in real life before. So
it's a good one. It's Reliquary or Reliquary, yeah. I'd say.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, yeah, thanks very much for coming on, as I've said. Right, so I'm just going to talk through, obviously, the run-up to your Kickstarter campaign and a bit about what the game entails. So, obviously, talking to you guys, you're quite new as a formed company within the war game sphere. So, what has led you to create the game, and what's your story up to this point? How have you gotten on, and how have you got to this point?
Okay, so I'll start then. With Reliquary, with our story, should I say? Me and Keelan have been into wargaming for, I'd say, six years plus. We started playing other games together, and the issue we always ran into was with the concept of the player's time mattering. So you'd meet up, you'd have a battle or a skirmish or whatever, and then it wouldn't mean anything, basically. So what we wanted to fix with the game, basically, when we create our own, is to have the player's time matter for when things carry on and mean something. That's why we've gone for a very campaign and narrative focused game with a lot of customizability, so you can get invested in your own faction and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to mention that after playing a lot of war games in our past, there's a lot we like about a lot of different games, but I don't think there's been any single game that's actually brought everything together and blended it so well that we've done with Reliquary. There's a lot of mechanics that we've not necessarily like borrowed, but also improved upon in our game as well. I mean, just a little bit about me. When we started this, I think 3 years ago, I didn't have any children. Now I have 2 children, so time has absolutely flown. We've learned so much in the last 3 years, but I'm really pleased to say that we're finally kind of getting towards our vision that we set out to do 3 years ago. Definitely. Would you say that, Oliver?
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely incredible. I think the fact that you've obviously only been playing for 6 or so years to then be like you're confident in going ahead and doing your own thing. That is incredible. I think someone who's been doing it for probably nearly triple that amount of time, and I still haven't gotten around to doing something of my own. I think that's amazing. Hats off to you. That's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talk about obviously the mechanics that you've improved upon and what the actual game looks like on the tabletop. So the Reliquary in question seems to be, from what I've read, a trove of weapons and artifacts that can be used by different forces. So how does it drive the gameplay? Because it seems to be the key function of the game. So how does it work in terms of the game on the...
With the Reliquary, it's a deck of cards, of at least 100 cards of varying rarities. There are 3 tiers to it. So you've got the more common cards, which are called apostle cards. Each rarity indicates what the being was before being transmuted into an artifact essentially. So it goes from apostle to archon, which is a more powerful follower of a deity, which is the final tier, and they each appear in the differing rarities. So the more powerful stuff, obviously, not showing up as often as the more basic modifiers and such. In terms of how it drives the gameplay, the story is that you are a commander of your own faction, or serving a home nation, let's say, that has been sent out to find pieces of the reliquary to aid your faction in winning the ongoing overarching story.
Cool.
Each battle will result in a roll on a loot table, and then you have a chance to acquire one of the relics, basically.
Nice. So always something at stake then, and a chance to gain something potentially quite say game altering in future games as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I can probably just say a bit more on that actually, because they are core to the game, but also they allow you to actually once you've amassed enough, you can start kitting out your commander with some of them. So they're things like spells, artifacts, armor, and weapons, and they give you a whole new way of playing, dependent on how powerful they are, for instance, or when you choose to use them. So it's all about adding some spice as well as driving different decisions. Some of these cards, they can turn the tide of a battle, and they can really affect the strategic layer of the campaign. So yeah, they're very, very important, and players will, at the end of each battle, they will really be hoping that they can get a deity level relic, for instance, because they really do help.
And so are they within a game? Are they, say, limited use? Is there a cap on sort of being able to?
There is a limit on the number of slots that your commander has. As well as that, some artifacts are single use only before they get shuffled back into the pile, for example, like a spell.
Yeah.
And so something as well to mention is that in order to kind of track your commander's loadout, it's not just pen and paper. It can be, but we're actually building an application to go alongside the game. So every backer is going to get lifetime access to our web app, and in there you'll be able to manage your faction, manage your commander, manage your armies, and also track the campaign as well. So you can have a full kind of relic viewer in the web app. So you'll be able to not only look at the cards out there in front of you, but also have them stored digitally, and then you'll be able to remember where you left off effectively. Because depending on how in depth you want to go with the campaign, you might play this over multiple sessions. Say 5 sessions, and having all that tracked somewhere is quite important for us, we think. And we've not really seen that used well in other games of this like. So
no, I think as someone I've played obviously a lot of campaign games, but at a smaller scale. So say old school Necromunda and like old Mordheim, for example. But there's been a lot of just community patches and sort of ways of doing it sort of on an ad hoc basis, but there's never been anything really officially, I think, to capture that sort of scale of change. So it's really, really positive to see that you're doing that. And obviously when things can get a bit hectic, just to have it there, and to have it for free as well. That's nice. I mean, some companies could take note from that, I guess. I'm not going to say which companies, but if you guys obviously doing this as your first project and you're willing to do that, that's great. Really,
I think Keelan's a very talented web developer. He's got the know-how on all that stuff. So
I think it's important to kind of have loyalty with your backers, and to show them, that you do care as well. Now, when we're building this, we don't want it to be a one-time only thing. Here's your box, see you later. We really are trying to build a world. And in order to do that, we felt like we needed something like an app to underpin that, the information there as well. Something that we've seen before when playing some of these tabletop games is, okay, then I'll just get my rulebook out, and it's like a brick, and you get it out, and you try and find your page, and then we're gonna have the rule book in our application. It's going to be up to date, you know, to the day. If there are any like errata or any changes to the facts, they'll be automatically in there. We will be able to handle that for people. We'll also, you know, I've said a lot, but you'll be able to manage your army. You know, it'll be a fully fledged army builder. And then one other feature as well will actually be a way to kind of drag and drop tiles onto a campaign map, or have the game randomize that for you, so it just saves you time. So yeah, it's not just going to be an app just to you know, oh, there's my commander. There's a lot of things happening there that we really want it to underpin everything we're doing on the project.
That sounds really, really positive and quite innovative as well. I mean, just to touch on what you said there in terms of you really wanting to build a world. So, obviously, looking at the website and the run up to the Kickstarter, the world of Estir. Can you tell me a bit more about the world and what sort of factions we're going to see play on the tabletop, and what the world really looks like?
Oh, yes. Okay, so Estir is a world that was essentially a collaboration by the creators. All the deities got together, and it was essentially like a crucible that they poured all their creativity into. When tensions arose, they formed factions and fought alongside their own races that were on the actual world. And the result of that is one of the factions won and transformed all of the other deities and their apostles into the Reliquary so that they couldn't escape back to the ether and enact justice, let's say. The race selection, so for the Kickstarter, we've got the Commonwealth of Man, which are your staple human faction, and then they are being assailed by a new power, which wasn't part of the original makeup. The Church of Croesus, which are an undead, almost like a cult, which have formed from an island that used to be the Commonwealth's allies and are invading the mainland in search of the Reliquary. So that's essentially the first two. Future down the line are obviously called Warboss miniatures. We want some big green boys in there eventually. They are written in. For example, my favorite is a guy called Crump. He commands the Golden Horde, and he wants to collect all the shiny things for his collection. That's his motivation.
That's a simple motive, but it's a good motive.
But yeah, the standard affair of elves and goblins and orcs, dwarves, and some more less explored, like living plants and things like that.
Interesting.
Ogres, they feature as a mercenary, like
they come
mercenaries that you can hire. Yeah, we don't just have undead and humans in there. We've also got the goblin mercenaries and ogre mercenaries. They can be hired for one-time use to swing a battle in your favor, basically. No, you've got your standard affair of races on Estir, as well as a couple of extra hidden ones that will eventually reach the miniature side of things.
Nice, awesome. So obviously keeping with what people will know, but obviously having their own
Yes.
flair and character, which is always the way to do it. I think that's great. It's the other thing that I really like the look of, obviously in the sort of pre-launch material, was the actual campaign map. Now we talk about obviously tracking a campaign. This is the first time I've ever seen physical representation of the map in model form to actually lay it out physically. I think it's a really cool, unique way of doing it. What made you decide to go down that route rather than logging it, say, in table?
Yeah.
And, I think it's great. It reminds me very much of the opening credits for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, I thought that's really cool. It's yeah. So
I know we've been in the sphere for about 6-7-ish years for the actual gaming, but we have explored a lot of systems, and these tiles, they've not been done in over 20 years now. A certain company used to do them, but obviously I won't mention. Yeah. The reason we did this is, well, not only is it nice to look at, it's a very easy way you can pick them up and customize the layout of your map. with them, and also painting, because part of the hobby is painting things and having terrain that you can modify. So, you know, it doesn't have to just be a typical grassland. You can put some snow on them, or some like lava, or anything to make it just relevant to a region in our world which you're actually fighting over. You add your own story to it.
Yeah, I think it's important to add, you know, because when we went to the Games Expo last year, we had so many people come up to us and go, "We absolutely love your hex tiles. Can you tell them? You know, can you tell us more?" We actually ran a diorama, so a big table that we made. Actually, in my house, it took up almost an entire room when we made it, and that was the Mountain Mine map. And we have one of our tiles that we've made is the Mountain Mine, and we could kind of say, well, look, we're fighting for this part of the map. You can see what we're fighting for, and I think it's some people they love to see these things, and if it's just on a piece of paper somewhere, I don't think it really gives you that context of what it is you're doing. So yeah, you know, seconding what Oliver's saying there, it's just a really good reference. You can customize them however you want. There's also scope for more in the future as well, but we're packing in 15 actually into the box, so you've got an ever-changing, you know, campaign. Every time is going to be different as well. It's just awesome, and we kind of, once we thought about this, it was like a eureka moment, right? It was like, wow, you know, we've really kind of like added the cherry on the pie, as it were, with this. So yeah, we're really happy about that.
No, I agree. I think visualization is key. I mean, unless you are a budding cartographer, which I am not, because my drawing skills are absolutely atrocious. I struggle to visualize what I'm doing in terms of, you know, from linked scenarios, and I lose track. To have a visual aid, and such a pretty visual aid as well, I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's from a gameplay perspective as well. Each tile represents not only new scenarios, rules like random events, or a new reward system. So it's got more than just the visual as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they do tie heavily into the mechanics as well, because, you know, we really want we love games where there's a strategic and a tactical layer, two layers to the same game. And when you're looking at the strategic layer, some of these hex tiles have really good advantages as well. For instance, if you capture the fort, that will provide you with more points to then buy more units to bring to the battle. For instance, if you get the mountain mine, you will then get you'll be able to ask the ogre mercenaries to come and fight for you, for instance. So yeah, they all have meaning, and that they all play a big part in the campaign.
Oh, brilliant. So it sounds really intriguing. I'd look forward to seeing how it actually plays out properly. That'd be great. Well, we're obviously talking about like the campaign element, and you've mentioned that it's very obviously narrative driven. Obviously there is a section of gamers out there who obviously steer towards more the competitive side of it. Do you think that Reliquary is geared up to eventually, or even from launch, is there going to be a sort of way that it's geared towards the competitive gamer as well? Would they find it enjoyable? Is there scope to attract them with it?
I've always envisioned this, depending on how much of a community we manage to garner, it would be absolutely fantastic to do something like host a competition, Relicon, or, you know, Warboss Con. Name is placeholder for now, but where everyone's fighting on a giant hex campaign map, multiple tables going at each other to compete for the same deck of cards in the center, and everyone's like creating interesting interactions there, and that'll be where the most talented players can shine and essentially forge an actual story impact as well, because I'd like events to mean something.
That's a really good idea. I think to have the changes to the game world being community led as well. That's
Yeah,
I
with
think
certain territory being gained and lost actually having implications on rules and what units are available and things like that. It'd be awesome.
when we originally set out on this, we did spend a lot of time theory crafting and looking at the mechanics to try and make them balanced, I would say. I mean, I think it's a never-ending battle to make a game balanced, as we've seen with other games. We've really tried to pay attention to that, and I also think, you know, there are nuanced elements of the mechanics that allow players, you know, if they do want to spend the time to learn and to get good, as it were, you know, that we can envision that to be very competitive, absolutely. And I think on the narrative front, you know, me and Oliver, we've done a lot of play testing. We really want to make this as fun, as engaging, but also, you know, it needs to be tactical. It needs to make you think as well. We've spent a lot of time doing that, haven't we, Oliver? And we've got some awesome stories. I think I remember the Risen Lord. One of his abilities is that he basically can come back to life once you down him, and I think it gets progressively harder, doesn't it, Oliver, to resurrect him? And I think did you manage to get
I managed to resurrect him like 4 times in a single battle, and
I think for me, having to deal with him, you know, being at this point in the battle, I had kind of progressed my forces into the middle of the battlefield. He was behind me. Having him in the back was just an absolute nightmare, and it really made me think tactically. And I think some of these things are very memorable, and I think a lot of players are going to enjoy that. They're going to enjoy this narrative, just because the sheer, you know, the mechanics as well as the relic cards and everything together will create some really memorable experiences in my
just
view.
wanted to touch on one more thing as well in terms of balance and competitive style. We opted for a D10 system, just because with the amount of modifiers that are possible, having a +1 on a D6 can be quite broken. So it allowed us to have the wiggle room to make it more fair across the board as games progress and as people get more powerful.
That's no, I think that's great. I think from my experience, I think D10 is the sweet spot. D20 is too swingy.
It's D20 is great for role play.
Yeah.
And D6 is good for simple games. D10, I feel, is the future of wargaming.
We got a lot of good feedback on the D10 system when we showcased this. We played a lot with a lot of people, and each time we were asked the same question: why did you go for D10? And you know, it was simple. You can see. You just have to look at the stat block to see how, you know, more is better, and it's not this kind of like, you know, hidden numbers here and there. It's so transparent, as well as, you know, the advantages, things like +1s and +2s. You can see what they do, and it's a lot harder when you're constrained with a D6 system, right, Oliver?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. So we've talked obviously a bit about the structure of it and that. So in terms of launch, obviously when this video goes out, it will be live. I'm hoping. What can people expect to get with the campaign then? What are they backing?
So Keelan mentioned the 15 hex tiles. In the box is also 101 miniatures. So we've
jam-packed.
Jam-packed. We want to flesh it out to make sure everyone can actually play with a full army. Each box will cover a mid to late game sized force for 2 people on each box. We've also got the relic cards and a blast and flamer or cone templates, whatever you want to call them, the D10 dice, the rule book, and then also access to the app itself.
Yeah,
brilliant. That's a hefty package right off the bat. That's And what sort of price points are we talking for?
So we are, since we've costed everything with you know, our guys who are we're consulting with them on the Siocast production, as well as quotes from other entities who would handle things like the boxes and the game implements. So we've gone for something which is fair for what you're getting. £100 for the box.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Literally less than £1 a miniature, but great. That's wonderful to hear. I think
it's an industry. How would I say? It's a poorly kept industry secret that the plastic miniatures are not actually expensive to make. So we wanted to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this. You know, there are boxes for, you know, you get 69 miniatures, and they were 150. You know, looking at £200, and we were like, what? You know, if you actually look at it and you actually cost it, you know, I think a lot of it is just profiteering. We really wanted to add a lot of value into these boxes. It is our first Kickstarter campaign, you know, and we are obviously new to the scene, but we really do think that we can deliver, you know, this box at that price point, and there is a lot of hours that you're going to get out of it as well. It's also important to mention, you know, that is the standard pledge. So there is an ultimate pledge, and that does confer some more bits and pieces as well. For example, you know, we're looking at the hex STL files, you know, for your home printers, your mercenary STL files as well. This is in the ultimate pledge. And we've also got an author, and he's writing a novel for us inside our universe. So yeah, we're trying to build the lore, and with that, we really do want some literature. So we've got a very own author who's working on this with us. So yeah,
that's great. So just touching on the point about the STLs, then, do you feel that going forward, it would be a bit of a hybrid model? It would support the hybrid model, which I know a few companies are going down this route now.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that there are options for specifically so that people can expand their campaign, but keeping the main range with ourselves.
Yeah.
Just so we can actually continue to support the game that way.
I mean, parts should be extensible, we believe, for people to really have fun. You don't want to constrain them, and we've seen this recently with some very large companies putting a stop to this creativity. So one of the things we wanted to do is make it so that, you know, if you do want more tiles, you can print them. You can do that. If you conform to the same kind of locking mechanism for our hex tiles, you can make your own and lock with ours. Mercenary as well. You know, you want more mercenaries to play with, go for it. So yeah, we really tried to do that, didn't we, Oliver, and keep things as open as we can do going forwards.
Yeah,
that's really encouraging to hear. I think it's a really good balance. You appeal to two quite distinct markets at the same time there. Markets that are obviously, I think, getting a bit more separated as time goes on, i.e. the traditional gamer and then the 3D printer hobbyist.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I also think people will use these hex tiles in other games, really, because they're that good, and they're also very cross-compatible with a lot of other systems. So yeah.
So obviously we've talked about the the standard pledge, and then your with the ultimate, the one with the extras. What are the stretch goals? Can you say a bit more about what stretch goals you'd be looking at, or is it a bit of a secret at the moment?
No, we'll be open on that one. We've planned stretch goals for more tiles, ranging from additional relic cards to more hex tiles, all the way up to new troop choices for each faction and new hero units for each faction, as well as mercenaries. So it's basically, dependent on the community we garner, the better it'll get.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that there's also 2 tiers of pledges. So you've got the common stretch goal tier and the ultimate stretch goal tier. So we've split it into 2. And with the standard box, you'll get the common, and with the ultimate, you'll get the common and the ultimate stretch goals as well on that.
Wonderful. That's great. That's great. So after the Kickstarter, then you've talked about obviously the app having longevity and updating. And where do you see the game, say, in a year's time? What would you hope that it would look like?
A year, I'd have expected some people to have found first timers. You know, they might try and some people are going to try and break the game. So we'll have within a year, I'd imagine any errata or FAQs done, as well as this. Already have the next 2 race pack well into development. I was thinking for orcs versus dwarves on that one. So I finally get my green boys on the table. Hell yeah.
We already know what the dioram's going to look like as well, which is going to be awesome. It's going to involve underground drilling and a desperate defense against a green horde. It's going to be awesome. But I mean, just to carry on with what Oliver was saying, yeah, definitely well on our way with our with 2 new factions in Estir, as well as garnering a community of thousands of loyal fans, and hopefully we can all meet up and have our own little small Relicon somewhere. I mean, we are UK based. We do know that we've got a lot of interest over in the States as well, and some friends in Europe as well. So we'll have to think about what that would look like after a successful Kickstarter, which we are working towards.
Brilliant. It sounds really, really positive, and I wish you all the best for the upcoming campaign. Obviously, when this launches, it may be live. I don't know when I'm launching this video yet, but yeah, thanks very much both. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, and I, for one, am really looking forward to this. I think it will be a must-have for me. So thanks very much, guys.
Thank you, Andrew. Remember, everyone, to subscribe to Spymaster Gaming.
Oh yeah, help promote, shouldn't I? That's one of those things that I forget to do. But thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And likewise, go and check out. I'll put it in the description. The notification, if it's not already live, it will be the live page to the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that was great. And it's been great to talk. Kickstarter starts next Friday, 1st of March. So yeah, please do come and support us. It would mean a lot. And yeah, thanks for having us, Andrew.
So thanks very much to Ollie and Keelan for that interview. I think this game looks incredible. It's got some really unique elements to it. Are you going to be backing it? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you like about the gameplay and what would you like to see more of? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.